Hey, are you new to hunting or it's been a hot minute since you've done it? Rising prices, inflation, get to you. You want an alternate source of food for your family or your friends or yourself. You're looking for a new sense of adventure. Maybe you want to get in touch with nature again, or maybe look at nature a different way. You want to get involved in conservation. Well, that's where I come in. My name's Jesse, and I'm creating a video series, a small one, called The New Western Hunter. It's going to be an unknown amount of videos at this time, but we're going to step through each piece and part of becoming a hunter and what you need to do to purchase, to learn, to gather, so you can go out and be successful eventually. I'm not going to promise right out the gate. Sorry, that's not what I'm here for. I'm just here to help you out and to maybe guide you to the right resources to get you success eventually. I'm a relatively new hunter, backcountry hunter. I've only been doing it. This is my 6th year now. And when I moved back out to California from being in the service out east, okay? And with that, I've learned a lot of very valuable lessons, some expensive lessons. And I'm going to try to help mitigate that for you a little bit. All right. There are still going to be a lot of trial and error. You're going to make a lot of mistakes. I make them every single year. And I'm learning every single year, and I'm learning new things and relearning things. Okay. But that's just a part of this experience of this lifestyle that I've chosen. Okay. So resources, I told you I was going to point you to a lot. Well, there is a lot out there. Sometimes it feels like there's too many. There's really no such thing as that, right? There's lots of resources and we need them all, but I'm going to try to narrow them down. It can be very overwhelming, so hopefully my guidance through this might help you out a little bit. Okay. But before we get started, let's get a word from our sponsors. I'm just fucking kidding. I ain't got no fucking sponsors. Nope, still ain't got no fucking sponsors. No discount codes, anything like that. But I do want to promote this coffee right here. All right, a friend of mine, a man I served with as a submarine sailor when I was a submarine sailor. Him and his wife started roasting this and created a business out of Mystic, Connecticut. It's called Absolute Bearing Coffee. If you go online, you look them up. You can figure out how to order it. You order some, it comes to your house. You grind it because it's whole bean. You brew it however you want to brew it. And you drink the living shit out of it because it's fucking amazing. Absolute Bearing Coffee. Look it up. You can't go wrong. And the price comparative, like if you go to Stop and Shop, Save Mart, Piggly Wiggly, depending on what part of the country you live in, all the shit that's in there is way more expensive than this. And this is made with some love, I promise you. Okay. So with that, let's get really started here. So there's 3 questions that you need to ask yourself and you need to answer. So that's going to guide your path on which direction we go with this hunting, right? It's what do you want to hunt? Where do you want to hunt it? And when do you want to hunt it? When you answer that question and stick with one for now, right? One path that we're going to choose, because I promise you it's going to branch out the more you love it and the more you get into it. There's going to be a lot of different paths to choose. Okay. But let's pick one for now. And all of that's going to kind of also revolve around your budget, right? So hunting over the years, especially big game hunting, has really turned into almost a rich man sport. But there is ways to do this that is very affordable for your average person. And you don't need all the experience and all the money in the world to do this. Okay. You need a good head on your shoulders. You need a sense for research, and you need some good friends that you can go hunt with, and you can be pretty successful. But for money wise, if I were to tell you to go out and buy everything that you need to buy to hunt one animal, one season is going to cost you anywhere from $6,000 to $9,000 starting from scratch. You may have a bunch of stuff and you could probably borrow things, but for scratch, 6 to 9,000. That's not even the tag cost of the animal or the hunter education that you need to do. Okay, 6 to 9K. That's a lot of money. All right, but we're going to get into the systems and all the systems that you can manage, purchase, work with. And what I did, I budgeted out over a year, right? So there's a lot of purchases I needed to make to include my weapon system. I did that over a year, so it was just small bites, and eventually you're going to get to where you need to go. You get the stuff, and then you can, okay, you know what, this season, that jacket didn't work great. Then we can upgrade. But these systems are this, and each video is going to be tailored to one of these systems, or two, depending on how complex it is, right? But we're going to talk about your weapon system, be it a rifle, be it a bow, the optics that go with that. We're going to talk about a sleep system, right? That's kind of important. Your pack system, pretty important. Water, food, or cooking. Okay, your clothing system, which may be your most expensive over the long term because you are replacing food or clothing. You're finding a new brand or a new material or something that works. Something might chafe you and give you a little bit of rash down in the franken beans. Who knows? But we got to get the right shit, right? Optics, and not just optics on your weapon system, but your chest, right? So binoculars, a spotting scope, a rangefinder. Those, I group all those into the optic area. Electronics, it's 2023. We got to be able to communicate with the outside world or with our friends, be it a radio, be it satellite comms and things like that. Kill kit, what goes into a kill kit? Because if you get an animal down, then what, right? Then you got to get it home. That's not really the kill kit, but that's still a piece we need to chat about. Okay, and then second most important thing on planet Earth is your toiletries. You got to be able to wipe your ass in the woods. I'm not going to teach you that. I'm going to say that again. I will not teach you how to wipe your ass. That is upon you and maybe the relationship you had with your parents when you were young. If you are failing at this, blame your parents. You don't blame me. Okay? All kidding aside, you do need to bring toiletries, toothpaste, some things to keep maybe some things fresh, right? Also medications, if you have prescriptions, anything like that, you got to be able to manage that and plan ahead. And probably the most important aspect of all of these systems is safety. I'm going to bring safety into each topic and each video and how that's going to relate. Okay. So let's get into the very first one is, what do you want to hunt? Okay. So pick the animal. I'm going to talk about big game animals or big game animals out west. There's a whole slew of seasons and everything through this country, which can get confusing. But I recommend picking a single animal, right? If you want to go out west, big country, big backcountry, think elk, think deer, mule deer, whitetail, coos, blacktail, sika, whatever the case is. If you go to Texas, I'm not going to talk about Texas because there's exotics, there's all kinds of imported things down there, okay? We're going to leave Texas off the plate right now. That can be a whole different video in itself. But what do you want to hunt? Then you need to figure out where you want to hunt it. What state do you want to hunt in? Is it your state that you live in if you're out west? Is it maybe another state? Okay. You need to get on Google. You need to look up hunting in that state, and it's going to bring you to their Fish and Game Wilds website or whatever version they have. And the very first thing on there is going to be your regulations. Pull up that PDF file, have one sent to your house, read it online. And every state is going to be formatted pretty much kind of the same. The first portion is always going to be your general regulations for the state, general safety items, things like that. So the second part of the book is going to get a little bit more confusing. This is where it talks about the hunt units, the hunt codes, the different hunts themselves, the season dates. If it gets too confusing or too overwhelming, there is a phone number in the book, and I promise you that every single person in every state department that you're going to talk to in regards to hunting and fishing are extremely friendly, and they want to help and they want to educate you because they want you to hunt in their state, and they want to make sure you do it the right way, okay? Because if you're out of regulations and you shoot something accidentally or you do something out of regs, be it maybe you needed a certain permit, like a small game thing in Colorado along with the elk tag, that can get a little ugly, right? There's usually fines, penalties, and maybe more severe stuff, okay? But again, they will help you. So, and then the last piece, right, we talked about the what, the where, now the when, okay? So every animal has different seasons, okay? Elk is usually a lot earlier than deer. Deer can run through, right? But you also want to time your hunts to when they're the most active, meaning the most active, maybe their rut, okay? And their rut, I'll tell you with elk in particular, they're kind of blind to danger. At least the bulls are. They're not completely blind, but they are not thinking with the right head sometimes, right? So if you can sound like a girl and sound like a hot elk girl, like a big old cow, they might come running in on you, okay? And which is a good thing, which means your opportunity for at least an encounter is going to go up. Okay, but you need to time that right. Now, again, I'm going to point you in the right direction and the right resources to help you decide when you want to do that to kind of narrow it down. If it's a little bit more danger you're looking for and a close encounter with an 800-pound bull elk, archery season is what you want to do. Okay, you can get an elk coming in at 5-6 yards, a little bit further, a little bit closer. You never know, right? And it is pretty impressive and pretty fun when they do that. And your heart is, it goes jumping everywhere. Okay. So, and then there's the last basic understanding you need to do, and that's really public and private land. Okay. Private land is what it is. There are cases where you can hunt on private land. It's going to take probably that landowner, their permission, most likely their written permission, okay, to hunt that. There's also things that we have conservation easements. You need to do a little research on that because that easement might allow a path to public land through private land. You can't just go do that because there's private land on the other side, right? That's bad. That's called trespassing. Okay. And there's plenty of laws and things out there to define that a little better for you, right? But there's different kinds of public lands. There's BLM, or Bureau of Land Management. There's state lands, there's county lands, there's wildlife refuges, right? There's conservation easements, which I just mentioned. And every time I go hunt, every single year, be it the same unit or a new unit, I call the wildlife office so I can refresh in myself what that state or county regulation is, because it does vary quite a bit. And I'm pretty slow. I've been hitting the head a lot. So I just need to refresh myself when I do that. And I actually write it down, and then I put notes into my phone, into my hunting app, which we can talk. So that way I don't screw it up, because that's the last thing I need to do or want to do. Okay. Let's talk about safety, overall safety, and then I'll touch on each piece and how each system relates to a different aspect of safety. Okay. But there's three that's really unavoidable, and that's your firearm safety, your hunter safety, and depending on the state, your bow safety. Okay. Firearm safety, if you're shooting with a gun, I'd like to say it's non-negotiable, but there may be some loopholes out there depending on your age, or if you get a gun handed down from, say, dad or grandpa, and now it's yours through a will and you didn't register it with the state, which I'm perfectly fucking okay with that, but I'm not going to advocate that. But there could be certain circumstances where you don't require it. I strongly recommend it. Okay. It is nothing but good can come from it. Okay. And if you do get an old gun, I recommend going to a gunsmith. And if you've never fired it, have them run it through, have them do a full check on it before you put a bullet in there and send it down range, and something bad could happen. Right. Hunter safety, doesn't really matter what state you do it in. Every state reciprocates. Okay, which is great. It's very convenient, and it costs you a lot less, so you don't have to do it in every state you want to hunt in. Like I said, bow safety, state dependent. Okay, it's mostly compound bow, not really recurve, but there are different aspects to it because I want to say there's a lot more room for error when it comes to bow hunting, and your experience level plays into that 100%. Okay, wilderness safety. How far you want to go with that is entirely up to you, right? There's full survival SEER level courses out there that you can pay and you can do. Mine came through just more experience. I was an outdoorsy kid. I did a lot of things outdoors. I grew up in the outdoors. I was a Cub Scout. I was a Boy Scout. I was an Eagle Scout, right? So I learned a lot of things that way. And I also learned kind of trial and error. But I will tell you that my experiences helped me through any experiences that I've had later in life. Okay. If you want to go learn how to pick berries out of bear shit, have fun, enjoy it. Good luck. Next thing is communications. Okay. So communications is a safety thing, be it with your hunting buddies, be it with a base camp and you're spiked in, be it satellite communication, right? So you don't know what kind of situation you're going to be in where you need to SOS and get a helicopter search and rescue in there to get you, right? There are some circumstances where that could happen, and it happens every single year. My previous job, I worked with the Longhorns up in Fallon, Nevada, which was a military search and rescue organization, and they got called out quite often. Okay, so communications is pretty important. We'll dive into that a little bit more in a different video. And the last one that's pretty near and dear to my heart is health and fitness. Okay. This one will make you or help you survive more often than not than pretty much just about anything else out there, right? If you take care of your health and you're very conscious about that, and it's incumbent upon you, I guarantee you it's going to help you in the long run in whatever situation you're in. I will tell you the situation I was in about 5-6 years ago without my health and fitness that I treat very, very personally and I take very good care of. I would not be here today making this video. Now, the decisions leading up to it, that wasn't health and fitness. That was just dumb fucking decisions, right? But it could have, I'm going to help you mitigate so you don't make those decisions and get yourself in that situation, right? But health and fitness is entirely up to you. If you have aspirations or romantic dreams of chasing a mountain goat in Idaho, you're going to be above 10,000 feet. 10,000 feet requires a certain level of fitness to go running around up there. There's a reason if a jet has an issue, a airliner jet, a passenger jet, or a fighter jet, they go below 10,000 feet. Why? Because you die, right? That's not good. But we hunt above 10,000 feet. So you need a certain level of fitness, lung capacity, all that. And I can point you again in the right direction so you can get on that road if you're not already there. All right. So to recap this entire thing, right? The New Western Hunter is a video series that I'm creating to help a new hunter navigate their way and the confusing road to get themselves and get yourself out into the field, out into the backcountry and chasing animals. Okay, here's some homework because I don't know when the next video is coming out. I'm going to start making it, but I don't know when it's coming out and the rest of them, right? Maybe by the time you see this, they'll all be out. But anyway, here's some homework nonetheless. So reading, I like to read. I love to read. Okay, here's a good book. It's called Becoming a Backpack Hunter. The author is Josh Kirchner. You can get this book on Amazon. I ended up getting it on a Kindle. I read it and realized I needed a hard copy because I like to highlight things. I like to flag certain pages of certain information. He talks about a lot of the same things that I'm going to talk about, but with more education and probably better words. And I'm going to give my take on a lot of the things that he does, but he is a great resource. He's also on social media. Take a look at Dialed In Hunter on Instagram. He does posts, he does gear updates, he has tips for the field, a lot of those things, right? Excellent, excellent resource. I've talked to him personally. He's helped me with my journey through hunting. Okay. Another one, a podcast is called Elk Talk. Corey Jacobson and Randy Newberg. They get in there and they talk tactics, not just elk, but other animals. They help you navigate tags, systems, fish and wildlife, when the best time to draw, what to scout, how to scout, e-scout, physical scouting, whatever the case is, right? It's a great, great resource. Another podcast that I listen to is called A Week in Review with Cal. Or Cal's Week in Review, I should say. And that's Ryan Callahan. He's part of that Meat Eater crew. And he gives a 30-minute brief every week on what's going on in the world of wildlife conservation, hunting, state policies, crime, you name it, he goes over. And there's usually a pretty good humor twist to the way he tells these stories. And it's enjoyable. I like to listen to it. It's only half an hour. Things you can look at for more education. There's Elk 101, which again is Corey Jacobson and Randy Newberg. And he created an online university or online course, a series of courses that you can listen to, you can read, you can download information, and it's great. Veteran hunters and new hunters alike, I think, should listen to this. You're going to learn something new. If not, they tell some pretty good stories in there. Okay. Another website is Elk Shape. All right, take a look at that. There's some great fitness in there. Another one is Mountain Tough. Mountain Tough is designed specifically for backcountry hunters. They involve a backpack and rucking, maybe taking that backpack off and doing some thrusters or some squats or some lunges. Great website, great source of fitness. Okay. Now, a couple websites for more resources. Here's one. It's called Backcountry Hunters and Anglers. Is a nationwide organization that helps promote public land use, right? And it preserves our public lands. As us as citizens, we've kind of earned that right to have public lands, and they're beautiful. Well, there's a lot of things that want to take those public lands away. There are people on the front lines who are fighting that with Capitol Hill, with the litigation, with the laws, with the policies, with nature preserves, and you name it. They work with everybody to try to open up more lands for more public use. All right. Or to help animals thrive in areas that maybe we've overhunted or that we've abandoned from a town or whatever the case is. This is where they come into play. There's a faction of it called the Armed Forces Initiative. I belong to that. And that brings veterans in and exposes them to the same thing. A little bit lower cost. It's good, right? But they have chapters in every state and almost every city. And they have nights where, like a pint night, we'll get together at a local brew house and you meet fellow hunters, right? You share stories. Maybe you meet somebody and you want to go hunting with them. And then the last plug I have is bigfishfoundation.org. This is a veterans organization. We help bring awareness for mental health and resources for mental health and suicide awareness and hopefully suicide prevention. We just got done with a big fundraiser and where we paired up some veterans with a professional athlete, and they did 30 hours of fitness, and we raised money and we had a good time. We had a beer, we laughed, we cried, and it was just an amazing time. Well, that fundraiser stopped, but the fundraising doesn't stop. Okay. So if you're not a veteran and you feel like you want to donate, feel free, bigfishfoundation.org. If you are a veteran, there's also hunt camps you can sign up for. You sign up, you put your name in the hat, they draw the name out of the hat, and it might be you. It's a fairly small pool, okay? You're not going against 10,000 people looking for this hunt. It's a very, very small pool, so the chances of you getting drawn are pretty good compared to some maybe other drawings or sweepstakes or whatever you want to look at it, right? But they'll go around, and one of them is down in Texas, and they set you up with a bow, a custom bow for you, and it's your bow, and then you go hunt, and it's a guided hunt, okay? Great resource. Again, bigfishfoundation.org. With that, I look forward to seeing you in the next video, and enjoy, and I hope this wasn't too boring. Bye. Remember that you went out last. You're looking for a new sense of adventure, or you want to get involved in your mom. That's fine.